Hello, it is Thursday, September 8th, and that means it's time for a stamp class. It is going to be a fun but different class today than what I would normally share. And it looks like, okay, I've got one person watching, and it's my mom. How great is that? Hello, Mother. So good. If I've got somebody watching, that means I can officially begin. And so here is our official beginning for every stamp class, and that is good Thursday morning. It's time to get stamping. It's the moment has arrived for you to get ink all over your fingers and get them sticky with glue and to have some fun creating. And today, our stamp class is called Use It Up. In quotations, we have bouquets. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. We are specifically featuring on bouquets, and we're going to combine that with the vellum layering designs that are in the catalog, and I'll show you those in just a bit too. So a little bit of confusion out there. I had somebody think that this class was all about using retired products. So no, not necessarily retired. I might pull in some gems or ribbon that might be retired, but I'm focusing on using the papers and things that I've bought that are in the new catalog, or the catalog that started in May, and the mini catalogs, and using it up. You know, it just great. It looks great stacked on a shelf where I can't even see it because I've got paper in front of each other. So my thoughts are, rather than hoarding it and thinking it's pretty, I'm going to use it up, and I want to use it up with you, my stamping friends, as well. Hi, Lori. Good to have you here. I'm not quite sure who else. Let's see. I know Lori and my mom, and I'm not sure who else is watching. But do say hello, do pop in the comments. It sure makes it a lot more fun when you guys say something rather than me going, oh, let me chat the whole time. Okay, speaking of chat the whole time, I'm gonna flip my camera now so that we can begin with a little bit of business, and then we will move on to the highlight of the day, and that is stamping. Okay, so here comes the hand. There it is. And we're gonna flip. Oh, thank you, Lori, for saying hi. I greatly appreciate that. Totally. Okay, so there's my ceiling, complete with the pom-poms from birthdays that still haven't been taken down. Birthday was in May. It's how we roll, right? Okay, so moving right along. There are new weekly deals out there. If you remember, there are weekly deals for the month of September. And there's some really cool ones in this week because they're putting on sale the Texture Chic note cards and the Texture Chic Memory and More card pack. That's really cool because that kind of pairs up with, you know, our technique time that's going to be later on this month. Hello, Jacqueline. Good to see you here. It makes it so fun when people pop in and check out what we're doing and chat with me. So keep the comments coming. All right, so the weekly deals, do check them out. You'll find them in my online store, okay? And there's some really cool things. There's some rose gold paper. There are some great embellishments. There's ribbon. So it's really kind of nice to have those deals. There's also the Perfect Partners that's going on this month. And those are the matching dies with some of the sets that don't have dies just yet. So check all that out and you will be thrilled, as I bet you could be. All right, next week's class is called, it's a pickup class, and it's Oceanfront. That is the stamp set I'm going to feature. You will bring your own supplies. Now, if you don't have Oceanfront, pick another set that's similar. They have made several over the last several years that have this design where they're kind of watercolor images where it's like, oh, that could be a cloud, it could be a mountain, it could be a thing of water. So look at those, and we're gonna create some scenery cards, and we're gonna paint with stamps. So that will be the 15th, that'll be in a week. Are you getting or already got any of the partners? Jacqueline is asking in her comment. You know what? I have not purchased any of the partners because I don't have any of those stamp sets. And somebody else had asked me that, and I said, I'm trying to, refrain myself from buying a whole bunch of things. I already have my calendar planned out, and so it just didn't time out for me to buy a partner, but I sure do like the Apple Harvest one, and I like the Yetis and the Piggies. I kind of like them all. They're all great. Have you gotten any of them, Jacqueline? All right, moving right along. Technique time. There is still plenty of time to sign up for this class. This is going to be a fun class. Typically, I do 3 projects in a class, but because this stamp set called Seasons of Chic has, there's images for winter, spring, summer, and fall. I thought we would hit all 4 seasons with this stamp set. Okay, so going back to the comments here, Jacqueline says that was exactly her thoughts, but the apple one, yeah, that apple one is really, really tempting, especially the dyes. They give you a nice little variety there that they don't have to really be apples. They could be other things. So anyhow, going back to this class, time to sign up. If you have a purchase, and we're going to go over that in just a second here. I'll talk about that. Let me just keep going with these. So in October, we will have a paper pumpkin class, and that will be the spooky nights, or the spooky treats rather. Spooky night, hey, whatever. Spooky treats, that will be on October 6th. So I want to go back to this announcement here. You can earn this class for free, okay? So earn a free kit. And let me kind of cover this up. We'll cover this up just a little bit, and we'll kind of divide it up here. So if you spend $50 on the host code before tax and shipping, you can get Technique Time for free. You're gonna have to pay the shipping though, okay? For me to ship it to you. So that's how you can earn it for free. Now, you can actually earn 2 free classes if you spend $75 on the host code. All right, you're going to get the Technique Time class, and you're going to get October's Use It Up kit for free. So you get Technique Time and Use It Up for October for free, plus I will pay the shipping. So this is really the better deal, but you do need to put it on my current host code. The current host code is here. I also have this kind of floating around, and you can see it. It kind of moves around during the class here, but hopefully it's becoming familiar enough how you can earn those free classes. You can also purchase the class. The class is $31, and that will get shipped to you. That includes the shipping and all the stuff that will be in the pack. Okay, so let's see. Moving right along. I do want to mention real fast a couple things. I want to go to October Use It Up. I don't have a picture, but we're going to use up the Celebrate Everything DSP, or we're going to start to use it. And we're going to do Christmas. So Christmas cards. They're going to be jolly, bright, and fun. So, and any Christmas set is going to work. I will probably use Merriest Moments. Okay, moving right along to today's Use It Up class. This Use It Up class, we are featuring the vellum that I mentioned and Bouquet of Thanks, okay? So this is the stamp. It's a single stamp. They call it a stamp set, but it's a stamp set of one. It kind of cracks me up. So that's what I'm using. Now, if you don't have something like that, don't fret. You know, there's lots of stamps in your stash that I bet you have that would work. Another large image is something like this. That would totally work, okay? For today's class. Or maybe the big grouping of flowers from hand-penned petals. So find a bouquet style, you know, that's just got multiple images in it. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up and go back up to Lori's comment here. She says, so if I have the supplies for Texture Chic, I still purchase the class. I'm assuming it's not on the Backstage Pass, but a separate page. Okay. Yes, you are correct. You can have your own Texture Chic stamp set, the bundle, but the kit would include all of the papers that I'm going to be using and all of the any die cuts that aren't within Texture Chic. But it is going to be held right here in the Backstage Pass. So it's not a separate page. The only ones that go to a separate group are Studio Ink Spot's camps. I set up individual groups for that. But everything else is here, except for Paper Pumpkin. Okay, so hopefully, Lori, keep those questions coming if it's still not totally clear. And I'm glad to help you. All right, so going right along, I noticed Alicia popped on. Hello, Alicia. Awesome to have you here. So find yourself a stamp that's fairly large, that has a lot of flowers in it, okay? So some people said, I don't have Bouquet of Thanks, so I can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Look at your stuff. Lori, you are super welcome. Hi, Kayleen. How's it going? Those two comments came up right at the same time. Okay, so, and if you don't have the vellum layering designs, by all means, you probably have some vellum cardstock that would work in lieu of, okay? So find what's in your stash. That's the purpose of these. You don't have to have exactly what I'm using. Okay, so let me show you the vellum layering designs. If you're wondering, that's on page, I thought I marked it. Oh, nope, it's a little further. I think it's 139. Yes. On page 139, it's kind of tucked in here. It's kind of hidden. This is a great pack of vellum in that you've got white and black designs on the cardstock vellum, and it's you've got text, you've got kind of a map looking sort of design, and to me it would be great added in with a lot of masculine things, but here today we're going to juxtapose it with flowers. Okay, so that's where I have found that, and we shall begin. We've got a different class lined up. I'm talking like I'm more than one person. Hello, Marcia. Thank you for popping in and saying hi. Okay, so this class, it's gonna be a little different. It's not my typical layer it up and have all this goo and lots of die cuts. This is going to be a more streamlined look because the stamp image itself has so much design to it, okay? So, and I'm also going to teach you about editing, okay? Because this was a great lesson in editing as I was working on these cards. You know, because sometimes you keep wanting to add more and you're like, is it finished? I don't know. And you're like, yes, it is. It's done. Not every card has to have extra postage. Be designed so that it needs extra postage. Okay, so I'm just grabbing all my goods here. All right, so let's see. These are packed and they may not actually be in the order we're going to use them. So just have them ready and we will use them as we need them. So let's see here. The first card I want to do, you have no, we're going to do that one. Let's see, which card are we going to do first? We're going to start with the basic gray card. So if you'll kind of move yourself down and find there's a piece of basic gray, a quarter sheet of Blackberry Bliss, and a strip of Melon Mambo. Okay, so we're going to use that. All right, now if you're cutting your own kit, you are going to need a 4 1/4 by 11. So real basic here, scored at 5 1/2. So this is going to be a top fold card. We're going to set these pieces aside. We'll use those later. And we're going to, from your layering vellum, I'm going to use for this card, I'm going to use this black and white text. Okay, so it's black on the, I'm going to call it white vellum. Okay. Jacqueline, awesome. Yes, do the projects later. You can probably even just look at the pictures and do them later. Although there's a few techniques that are hidden in here that, you know, might surprise you. Okay, so this piece, and let's begin. So we're going to start, you're going to need your stitched rectangles. Now, anybody out there that doesn't have stitched rectangles, I would highly encourage you to get them. I use them all the time. So I am using, if you saw what I just pulled out, okay, these are kind of how they were on when they shipped them to you. I call this like the number 1. So I'm using number 2. Now, if you don't have stitched rectangles, trim your Blackberry Bliss down to, you're just going to trim it down to 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to cut myself a rectangle here, okay? So I've got my Big Shot nearby. And again, let me show you how I'm putting this through the Big Shot too. Because some have commented that they have a hard time with stitched rectangles. If you put it through on an angle like this, it's going to, so there's my plate. It's going to run through much easier for you, okay? Whoops. So let me get that going. Whoops, got to get it on the paper. Okay. Okay, so here's my piece. And I cut that first. Sometimes I'm cutting first, sometimes I'm cutting second. But I cut it first because I'm going to emboss an image on here. And I didn't want to put my embossed image through the Big Shot. You know, I just didn't want to mar it at all, you know, muck it up. Okay, so now what I have found for this big, huge background stamp, bouquet stamp, whatever we want to call this, I have found that my Stamparatus works best for this, okay? And I also have found, I don't know if you can see it, I have a light spot in the middle here. And so I found, typically when you have a red rubber stamp like this, you take the foam out. But the minute I put the foam in, I was starting to get a cleaner image. So I've added the foam in, okay? It's a little bit funky, but that's okay. All right, so now I took my, also, so I knew where to put my paper, I took my die, and I don't know if you can see it, but I'll bring it back in here. This is kind of like cheating for myself. But I took the die and I kind of framed the image how I liked it. And I just traced around my die, all right? Now my die is bigger, I get that. So I'm just gonna kind of center this in here. And now I know where to put my paper so that it will be nice and centered. And I'm gonna hold that down. And I'm going to ink this up with Versamark ink. So this is gonna be Versamark and we're gonna stamp it, we're gonna emboss it in white, okay? It'll be a nice, striking contrast here. Now, I'm not sure, oops, I've got olive ink on here, so I've got to clean my stamp. So with my very not so clean chamois, sorry, should have done that ahead of time. Okay, so Versamark ink, I'm just going to pat that all in there, all over my image. Okay, and we're gonna stamp this. Looks good. Looks like I need to move my magnet down just a little bit. Okay, get a good image. What's cool about this class is this, I didn't have any blocks. I have one block here in case I need it for some watercoloring. Okay, all right, I'm checking it before I move it. Okay, so we can set the image aside for now. And we're going to emboss this, like I said, with white. So let me grab my white. All right, and whoops, dunk this in here. I got a piece of paper in here. I'm gonna just take that out. Okay, so this is a big image, and I forgot to use my embossing buddy on this before, but that's okay. We'll just give it a good flick to get all the excess off. Okay, I've got it on my fingers too. And it looks like I have a little extra here and there, so I'm just gonna kind of scratch that off. Let's see if we can wipe that. Okay, good enough. All right, so we'll use the heat tool on that. Now this is gonna take a little longer than it normally does because it's such a large item, a large image rather, but here we go. Ah, there it's going now. Okay, there you have it. Now, Kayleen, I saw your comment there. I didn't want to try and scream over the heat tool noise. How often do I re-ink my Versamark? Not that often, but I think mine definitely needs a little more ink to it. It could use some re-ink, but not that often. How about you guys? Sometimes I use it a lot more than other times, and lately I seem to be using it a lot. Okay, so I'm just kind of trying to press out my paper just a little bit because, you know, the heat tool warps it just a little. Okay, so now we're going to do some fun stuff with this. Grab your white ink pad and your aqua painter or water painter, whatever you want to call it. That one doesn't have any water. This one does. And I also like to have my paper towel or a rag on hand so that I can kind of clean out my brush, get this brush moving. There we go. And we're going to squeeze the lid and grab ink. And we've done this lately. We've done it on lighter cardstock and darker cardstock, but we're going to do something a little bit different after we paint it with white. Okay? And this is where I said I had one block handy. Where did I put it? So sometimes I've got a lot of ink there, but sometimes I want even more than what's right there. So I've just created another palette ready so that I can make more paint, so to say. Okay, so we're gonna paint inside all of these images. We're gonna give it a nice whitewash, kind of a milky paint look. Okay, so let's get everything white. Now what I'm finding is even though I'm painting with white and I have no pink in my brush, the Blackberry Bliss is kind of turning things a little purpley pinky hued, which I think is kind of cool. So here you can see I'm getting in on the leaves, going into all of the leaves, all of the flowers, and where there's a lot, well, that's not really a lot, but in some of these areas where I can really see the blackberry coming through, I want to be sure to add a lot of white in there. And I might have to add a second coat of paint too. I agree, Jackie, this is a really pretty image embossed. You know, it's really pretty. You're going to see it stamped even just on cardstock, like tone on tone. We're going to do that on not this card, but a couple others. It's just so pretty. It's like, wow, that is really, it looks great. You know, just straight ink on cardstock. It just stamps beautifully. And you really see the detail in these florals, which I think are like a garden rose, maybe a David Austin style. So you see I kind of wanted to hit a little bit more white ink here. So I'm moving to the block and I'm coming back over things. I'm gonna come back in here. Just really get that in there. And I kind of like that I have some darker still left on the thank you. Okay, just come back in here, get another coat of that paint. And we'll let that dry. Get way in there, right to the edges. Okay, so let me bring that up close so you can see. So this is what I was talking about. I kind of like the dark and the lighter area. Kind of fun. So, I mean, we could even stop right there, but we're going to keep going. We're going to add a little bit more paint and stuff to these.